Think canned tuna is still the cheap, safe staple we all grew up with? Think again. Behind those shiny lids and labels that say premium, many brands are hiding shocking risks. Bacteria that can paralyze you, fillers that barely qualify as fish, and even secret price-fixing schemes that robbed Americans for decades. Some cans stink the moment you open them. Others are loaded with mercury, and worst of all, the companies know it. In today's video, I'll expose 5 canned tuna brands you must avoid at all costs and reveal 2 that are still safe to eat every single day. Stick with me, because what's sitting in your pantry right now might not be food at all. And you won't believe how deep this goes. And before we start, smash that like, share this video with a friend, and subscribe so you never miss these truth bombs about your groceries. Number 5. Chicken of the sea. If you think grabbing the cheapest can of tuna is a smart way to save money, think again. Because with chicken of the sea, what you bring home might not even be real tuna at all, but a carefully packaged bait and switch. This brand has fooled millions of Americans for decades, hiding behind its cheerful mermaid logo and that picture of a ship sailing on blue waters. It looks clean, it looks trustworthy, but what's inside the can tells a very different story. One of the oldest tricks chicken of the sea has been caught using is mixing in scraps of other fish. Whitefish leftovers, filler bits, whatever could pass undetected, blended right into the can and sold as chunk tuna. That means it was never whole cuts of tuna, sometimes not even close to 100% tuna. Just enough fish to keep regulators from stepping in, but never enough to truly respect the customer. And that trickery shows up the moment you open the can. Instead of firm, satisfying pieces of fish, many buyers describe a mushy, watery texture that looks like overcooked meat pressed back together. Some even say it resembles cat food more than a meal for people. Worse yet, independent tests have flagged mercury levels alarmingly close to the legal safety limit, especially in the chunk light and tuna and oil varieties. For older adults, people with heart issues, or anyone managing blood pressure, this isn't just low quality. It could be a health risk. Why? Because sodium levels in some samples shot as high as 360 milligrams in just 2 ounces of fish. That's nearly 20% of the recommended daily intake gone in a single small serving. But it doesn't stop with fillers and sodium. Chicken of the Sea has already been forced to recall products after customers found something horrifying in their cans. Sharp fragments of metal, including small steel blades from broken lids. That isn't a tiny mistake. That's a massive system failure. And the worst part is, the system that allowed it is still running. Canned tuna was supposed to be about security. A safe, affordable way for families to stretch their grocery budget to keep a quick meal on hand when times were tough. Instead, Chicken of the Sea twisted that trust into a trap. What should have been simple food became a cocktail of scraps, chemicals, sodium, and hidden risks, all sealed in a can and sold as if it were wholesome. Cheap doesn't have to mean cheapened, yet with every cut corner and every silent compromise, Chicken of the Sea has pushed further away from what real food should be. And that leaves us with one haunting thought. Are you actually eating tuna, or just a can full of corporate greed dressed up as dinner? Number 4. Bumblebee. For decades, Bumblebee was a household staple. That silver can sat quietly in cupboards across America, ready for busy mornings, late-night meals, or storm season emergencies. Parents trusted it for quick lunches, families stretched it through hard times, and generations built memories around it. For many, Bumblebee was more than tuna, it was reassurance. But the brand that once stood for stability has changed in ways most shoppers never realized. Recently, Bumblebee recalled more than 31,000 cases of chunk-light tuna because of contamination risks. And the recalls were only the surface. Consumers noticed the quality slipping long before. What once came as solid, flaky chunks now collapses into mush the moment you open the can. A strange film often floats on the liquid inside. And the smell? Many say it's disturbingly close to watered-down pet food. So what happened? Quietly, Bumblebee altered its recipe, blending fillers into the fish. They cut corners while keeping the price tag the same, relying on habit and brand loyalty to carry sales. Think about that. You might be paying for a can that is only 70% real tuna with the rest left unexplained. And the decline didn't stop there. In 2019, Bumblebee filed for bankruptcy after financial scandals and lawsuits shook the company. To keep the brand alive, it was sold off to a foreign conglomerate known for cheap processed food labels around the globe. Since then, shoppers have reported even worse texture, weaker flavor, and cans that feel more like leftovers than a trusted product. This is the painful truth. The Bumblebee that once represented comfort for millions of Americans no longer exists. What remains is a label that cashes in on nostalgia while cutting quality to the bone. It is no longer about taste or convenience. It is about a betrayal of trust. So, the next time you see that familiar can on the shelf, ask yourself, are you buying a meal, or are you buying into a memory that no longer matches reality? Because once trust is gone, no brand can ever truly win it back. Number 3. Geneva, Van Camp's, and Trader Joe's. Now let's talk about a recall that should make every shopper stop and think. Canned tuna from Trader Joe's, Walmart, and other supermarkets had to be urgently pulled off the shelves because of a terrifying risk: botulism. And I hate to say this, but here is the hard truth. No major brand is truly protecting your health. At the end of the day, the only person who cares about your safety is you. Canned tuna has become one of the easiest products for these companies to push. We pick them up without hesitation, stacking them into our carts because they look so convenient. Rows of Genova, Van Camp's, or Trader Joe's cans sit neatly on store shelves, lids shining under the lights, dressed up with labels that whisper luxury, Mediterranean style, yellow, fin tuna in olive oil, recipes that look like they belong in a rustic Italian kitchen. But behind those polished metal lids is a danger that could stop you in your tracks. The Food and Drug Administration confirmed it. Tri-Union Seafoods had to recall tuna because of a botulism threat. The nightmare started with something that seemed harmless, just a design flaw in the easy open lids. That small flaw allowed air to leak into the cans, creating the perfect breeding ground for Clostridium botulinum, one of the most lethal bacteria on the planet. What makes this so horrifying is the stealth of it. You won't see swelling on the can, you won't smell anything foul, you won't taste anything off. Imagine happily stirring it into your salad, smiling as you prepare lunch, not realizing that you're serving your body a poison that paralyzes muscles, including the ones you need to breathe. Botulism is not ordinary food poisoning. It doesn't give you cramps or nausea. It shuts your body down, slowly robbing you of the ability to move and then to inhale. In other words, one can of tuna could actually take your breath away, permanently. And here's where the betrayal cuts deep. The companies knew. They were fully aware of errors in packaging and shipping. They knew the risks these products carried if they reached customers, yet they chose silence. Why? Because profit is too tempting. To admit the problem, issue recalls, fix designs, and take responsibility would cost them far more than the tuna itself. So they looked the other way, and you are left to face the consequences. Think this is being blown out of proportion? Look at the recall details yourself. Geneva yellowfin tuna in olive oil, 5-ounce can, lot code 2403C. Van Camp's chunk light tuna, lot code 2404D. Each one made the urgent recall list for being potentially lethal. And here's the cruel twist. There are no obvious signs. No spoiled smell, no sour taste. These cans look perfectly fine until it's too late. So let's be honest with ourselves. Are you still comfortable snapping open a can with your bare hands the way you used to? That moment of convenience could be the riskiest decision you make in your kitchen. And here's a detail almost nobody wants to mention. Trader Joe's, the store that so many people see as a symbol of healthy living, was right there on the list. If even Trader Joe's can't guarantee the basic safety of their canned foods, then who can you trust? That is the sobering reality of today's food industry. Comment below if you've ever bought tuna from Geneva, Van Camp's, or Trader Joe's. Be honest, did you ever eat it without even glancing at the label? If you did, you are far from alone. But after hearing this, no one can say they didn't know the truth. Number 2. Good and Gather. Canned tuna Target's in-house brand has become a fast seller, but not because of genuine quality. It thrives by pretending to be quality. The friendly name, bright packaging, and trusted store brand image make it look safe and wholesome, but inside the can is a very different story. There's no clear label on the type of tuna, no fishing region, no certification seal, no transparency at all. Just enough information to dodge lawsuits. Never enough to tell you what you're really eating. What you actually get are thin strands of shredded fish that turn into mush the moment you touch them. And the smell? Countless buyers report a sour, overpowering odor the second they open a can. Instead of clean oil or broth, they find a cloudy, greasy liquid that looks like dirty water. Appetizing? Not even close. The worst part is the unknown. Target has never released testing data, and no independent group has verified the sourcing or safety. That means anyone with high blood pressure, heart conditions, or dietary restrictions is left completely in the dark. A brand that feels soft and safe, Good and Gather, may actually be hiding the biggest risks of all. This isn't a label built on trust, it's a mask covering corner cutting and zero accountability. And if you don't pull that mask off in time, what you're eating might be far more than tuna. After all this deception, you're probably wondering, is there any brand left you can rely on? The answer is yes, and I'll reveal at least 2 names that haven't betrayed that trust. Finally, Number 1. Starkist. Some names show up so often that we just assume they're safe, and if there's any canned tuna brand that could be called America's tuna, it's Starkist. Millions of Americans grew up with Starkist. Those familiar cans sat quietly in kitchen cupboards, carried people through college meals, office lunches, and even those end-of-the-month dinners when the bank account was running dry. A name that brings back memories. A habit that lasted for decades, but that habit is betraying you. Did you know Starkist was convicted for price fixing across the United States? And this wasn't some blogger's claim. It was the US government that investigated and found Starkist colluding with competitors to secretly inflate prices, forcing millions of Americans to pay more without realizing it. Not an accident, a deliberate, organized scheme that ran for years. Starkist chose profit no matter who paid the price and the fine. $100 million, they paid it to keep things quiet, to stay out of court, to keep the business running. Do you see what's wrong here? They didn't slip up. They did it on purpose. And we, the people who trusted this as a cheap and safe staple, are the ones who suffered. Don't say, but at least the tuna is still edible. Are you sure about that? Plenty of customers have complained about a strong, fishy smell, a sour aftertaste tuna flakes that fall apart like mush. Some say it feels like old frozen fish that lost its texture. Others even said they crunched into fine sand. Starkist claims they run strict quality control. So why are some cans fine and others awful? Why does tuna, a fish packed with protein, sometimes taste like it has no flavor at all? And why, while prices climb higher, does the quality keep dropping? This isn't just a matter of taste. It's about a brand that was once trusted, exploiting that very trust for profit. Are you feeding your memories with nothing more than a canful of false trust? Comment below if you ever picked up Starkist because it felt familiar. And if you, like me, feel insulted by a brand that's been part of American life for so long, then maybe it's time to take it out of your kitchen. Did you know any of the ones I mentioned so far? Drop a comment to share your experience, as it helps other shoppers too. Now, I will share the ones that are actually safe to eat. We have next number 2 with Safe Catch. In a market overflowing with flashy labels and hollow promises, Safe Catch feels like a rare exception. A reminder of when food was made to nourish people, not to trick them. You won't find their cans stacked in giant promotional towers or covered in gimmicky designs. Instead, Safe Catch quietly earns its place in the kitchens of those who care about what they put in their bodies. Here's why. Safe Catch is the only tuna brand in the United States that tests every single fish for mercury before it's canned. Not sample testing, not random batch checks. Every single tuna is tested. That's not marketing fluff. It's an expense they willingly carry, so their customers get a level of safety other brands won't even discuss. For anyone worried about mercury, whether managing heart health, sticking to a clean diet, or caring for someone who's pregnant, that kind of commitment makes all the difference. But their standards don't stop there. Inside the can, you won't find fillers, brines, or cheap oils. What you get is pure tuna, firm flakes, not mushy scraps. Safe Catch uses a slower, low-heat cooking method that preserves protein and natural moisture, instead of relying on the quick pressure cook shortcuts that strip flavor and texture in most mass-market cans. And while many brands hide behind vague labels, Safe Catch lays everything out in the open. Their website lists average mercury levels by product line, provides batch codes you can trace, and publishes independent certifications. They even disclose their fishing regions and refuse to buy from abusive industrial fleets or disputed waters. Transparency is not an afterthought, it's their foundation. Open a can, and the difference is clear. The fish smells clean and light, not chemical or sour. The texture holds together naturally. It doesn't shock you with artificial flavors. It reassures you with the simple honesty of real food. In a world where every trip to the grocery store feels like decoding a puzzle of misleading claims, Safe Catch stands out as a brand you don't have to second guess. Careful shoppers choose it not because of marketing hype, but because the company hides nothing and delivers exactly what it promises. Finally, our number one is Wild Planet Skipjack Tuna. If you really want to know whether a can of tuna deserves your trust, don't get distracted by shiny logos or pretty packaging. Look at the fine print, the tiny details most companies hope you'll never notice. That's where Wild Planet quietly separates itself from the rest. This brand doesn't claim to be perfect, but what they print on the label speaks volumes. They list the exact species, the exact waters it was caught in, and the exact fishing method used. No vague promises, no marketing riddles, just straight, verifiable facts. Wild Planet isn't a household name for most Americans. You won't see them splashing out on commercials, buying center aisle spots at Target, or designing cans that scream for attention. Instead, they focus on something far more important: the integrity of the fish itself. Their skipjack tuna is caught by pole and line, a traditional method that prevents destructive mass netting, reduces the risk of stressed or contaminated fish, and avoids mixing in larger tuna species that carry high mercury levels. And you notice the difference the moment you open the can. Instead of oily mush floating in a greasy liquid, you'll find thick, rough-cut chunks of pale fish with a clean aroma. No harsh chemical scent, no fake brine covering up flaws, just tuna in its real form. The taste might even surprise you. It's not overloaded with oil or hidden behind factory seasoning. Some people call it plain, but that's the point. It's the natural flavor of tuna, untouched. You can season it exactly the way you like, instead of eating whatever blend a factory decided would be cheapest to mass produce. Wild Planet isn't the cheapest option, but that's the trade-off. When a brand openly names the waters it sources from, rejects destructive industrial fleets, and preserves the natural texture of the fish rather than grinding it into paste, you know it isn't built for the careless shopper. It's built for the people who still care enough to choose wisely. In the end, what makes Wild Planet stand out isn't flashy claims. It's the fact that they're willing to say out loud what other companies go out of their way to hide. So here's the bottom line. Canned tuna isn't the bargain food you thought it was. Too many brands have cut corners, raised prices, or even risked your health while pretending to be trustworthy. But here's the truth. The power to protect yourself is in your hands. Choose wisely, support the brands that still care, and stop letting corporations gamble with your dinner. And speaking of corporate greed, if you think this was bad, wait until you hear what's really happening behind the scenes with Walmart employees. That video will open your eyes to a whole new level of exploitation. Don't miss it. Click right here and see for yourself. Hit like and subscribe to never miss another video I put together for you, if you want to shop smarter and live better.